Good morning, everyone. I'm Erick GARAYBLAS, founder of Kui Mobile, the company behind a number of mobile games, and the brand behind a game called Street Food Tycoon. I'm not sure if anyone here has played the game. The game has gotten over 8 million downloads worldwide, and a lot of people have pretty much enjoyed the game. So, anyway, when I was invited to speak here at Casual Connect, a lot of my friends suggested that I be more personal, share my personal experiences being an indie game developer for more than 12 years. So I I went through all my past works. I gathered all the lessons that I've learned over the years and compiled them into a list. And I hope to share them with you today. So I'm actually a one-man team. For the past 10, 11 years, I've been doing everything myself, from planning, designing the game, prototyping, even doing graphics and programming. And although most of the time I outsource my sounds and music because that's not my forte. So, well, everyone of everyone wants to be successful. You probably made a game or two and then you know uh, hope that you'd eventually become successful one day. So, um, I'd like to begin by defining, discussing the term of success, what it's really about. Based from my experience, success is actually, well, to each his own. It's about whether do you want 1 million downloads for your game or do you want $1 million. It's all up to you. And while a lot of my friends have told that what I did with Kuyi Mobile and the Street Food Tycoon franchise is success, I've never actually thought about it. I just focus on making the games that I love to play, and that's it. And but I've looked back, and you know, I've s- I've noticed there are certain factors and there are certain skill sets then that we need to learn, we need to master in order to make becoming our path to success a lot easier. So success is, usually represented by a diagonal line that's gradually points upward. That's what most people think, but what most people don't know is the points that are in between that form the line. There are actually a lot of ups and downs you have to go through. And you've probably heard this numerous times already, but I'll say it anyway. It's not, um, it's how you got there that's important. What you do with your time, the people that you've connected with, the, the, the lessons you've learned, how you pick yourself up whenever you fail. It's the journey. It's the journey that's really important. So I've made a list, and then I'd like to share them with you today on how I got to where I am today. Okay, number one is to have that mindset, or simply put, have that determination. In the past decade that I've been developing games independently, there are a number of times that I've veered away from my path, but having that mindset give has made gave me a chance always go back on track. And here's that general mindset that I always wake up to every day. That every single day in my career, I'm still making games for a living, no matter how much fun I enjoy doing it. Sometimes you get lost, when you're so passionate about what you're doing. But at the end of the day, you have to have that mindset and think about that. You, me, we're here making games for a living. We have a family to support, we have a lifestyle to maintain, and we have goals to achieve. And number two is this is actually one of the most important things. Um, Having no one that bosses me around and tells me what to do. I get to work on the games that I love, and it's very important for me. Um, I've actually never tried outsourcing work. I've mostly done my own IP stuff. even Street Food Tycoon, I designed it from the ground up. It was, came from my own personal idea, and then I got a few suggestions from friends. So no one tells me what to do. And when you're passionate about what you're doing, it gets you motivated. You never get tired. You never get burned out. And what you're doing becomes more less of a job. So number three is, budget well. Everyone, I mean, the ability to handle your finances well is really important in surviving, especially as an independent game developer. You have to choose carefully where you're going to spend your money, because in my case, I was bootstrapped, so I'm pretty much limited in terms of resources. So be practical, be realistic, and you should master budgeting your funds well and tracking down your finances. Do you really need that new laptop when your 2-year-old machine is still in good working condition? Or can you justify the money that you spend on that new Android tablet? It's always practical to ask yourself or think twice before spending money. And also, instead of focusing on just generating money, you should also try to spend less of it, so you can manage your finances well. You can start small, think big. That used to be my corner office. I rented a table from my daughter. So whenever I'm invited to speak in events like this, um, you know, I always give this advice to up and coming developers. The Why? Because actually, when you look at the App Store or Google Play, now is really a great time to be a small developer. It's us small developers, indie developers, who are the ones who make really unique games, come up with new gameplay mechanics, because the huge companies can't take the risk. It's too risky for them. So we have that, what I always refer to as indie advantage. And don't let that lack of resource, or being short on budget, hinder you from achieving your goals. Actually use that to your advantage, because you can always find compromise or find a workaround towards achieving what you want to do or the games that you want to make. And always aim big, because if you look at the App Store, there are a lot of indie developers who made it big. They started as a 1 or 2 man team, and then they're now, have their own studios. They're, very much well known all over the globe. Okay, failure is part of the game. It always is. In any industry, it always is. And this is why starting early in life is such a huge advantage. The more failures you have, the better you become, even as a person. I actually started in the game industry after college, and that was one of my biggest regrets. I wish I could have started when I was in high school or grade school. So anyway, when you fail, make sure that you fail fast and you move forward. And it don't let that discourage you from continuing your project. And I remember there have been a number of times when I almost never finished the project because I was so discouraged. I got hindered by some technical glitch, or I was discouraged by someone who told me that this game won't make it. So it's always going to be there. So what matters is how you pick yourself up when it happens. And this is also one of the most important things that would advise you: make friends, especially in the industry that you're in. I don't think I never would have gotten this far if there weren't any people who have supported me along the way. And it's always advantageous, especially for us independent game developers, to establish connections in all parts of this industry, be it on the technical side, the business side, marketing, or even the media. I've especially now that social media is very popular. You can easily talk to independent developers on the other side of the globe via Twitter. You can discuss technical stuff with them. You can collaborate with them. So it's much easier actually. So that was actually my short list, but I made a backup plan in case I have more time. So here are a few runner-ups. Number 7 is always keep yourself updated. We are living in a world where technology gets phased out easily. The trends and strategies that we have today may not be the same tomorrow. So always keep yourself updated with industry-related information. And this is another one: invest time and, if possible, money on marketing. Half the battle is creating that game, that super fun game. But once you release it, you've created a super fun game that no one ever knew. So you have to have at least a plan. You have to at least invest time, come up with a launch strategy on how you can get the word out about your new game. And this one, don't please everyone. I once read that the simple formula to failure is trying to please everyone. You really can't please everyone with your games. Um, there will be compromises and there will be people who won't like your games. But I've learned that trying to please everyone just compromises my product. It makes it too wide and too general that it takes out the fun. So believe. You have to believe in what you're doing. You have to believe in your game, in your idea, and in your product. And number 10, this has always worked for me. I always share what you have and what you know. Give back to the community. This way, you can also make friends. And I've always believed that what I give to the world comes back to me tenfold. So this is one of the I would say core values that are really important for me. So I guess that's all. Here's my website, and you can always contact me on Twitter. I'm pretty active on Twitter at Kuyi Mobile.
I think we still have time for Q&A. So there's a lot of people in the room right now, so I'm sure some people have questions. Nobody?
What's your favorite and least favorite part of working on games, like art or code or whatever?
My favorite part is the prototyping stage, because that's the time where I get the chance to really validate my idea. And the worst part that I dislike the most, programming UI stuff, because I feel that it's too tedious, and it's it's kind of boring. Yes.
Hi, thanks for sharing.
Hi.
I believe one of the most difficult problem of the indie game developers are that we're normally not versatile enough. For example, you say that you're not. I mean, music and sounds are not your field. So how do you overcome those difficulty when you are not familiar with certain aspects of game development?
Okay. To be honest, for music and sounds, there are a lot of musicians out there, freelance musicians that you can now contact. But while I was starting the where I had the most problem was the business side, because I was a technical person. I was a programmer. I was a designer. So I had to learn that the hard way. I have to immerse myself more about the business side of games, how to market your product, how to design your game in such a way where you can monetize from it. So I just keep myself updated. I try to read a lot of books, attend events like this, and then mostly discuss with other independent developers, because the independent development community is pretty much active, especially online. You can easily talk to them on Twitter, or post questions on forums. There are a lot of sites that cater to almost every aspect of game development.
Hi.
Hi.
For the game development, right? So when do you know your process, your prototyping process, like it is because you are just one person? So like when do you know if your idea is good enough or bad enough? Or when you launch your game, when do you know you are ready to launch the game and so on?
Uh, in terms of coming up and validating my ideas, usually creating a prototype is really important, because it validates your idea. I show the prototype to my friends, to my family, and then observe them, how if they enjoy the game or not, and scrap the idea if it's not enjoyable. And I don't really have a process for like development games. As I said, no one bosses me around and tells me you have to finish this tomorrow, or so just take my time and you know s- uh, think about the game every day, and then iterate and improve on it, and then my validation is mostly dependent on my friends, the people that I show my games to. And when you see that it's really fun and enjoyable, then I pursue the project, and then eventually turn it into a finished product.
Thank you.
I think we have like one last question.
Okay, thank you. At the
Right.
beginning, how you market your game? Are you market it apa telling your friend, hey, I have this game or anything? Thank you.
Oh, well, it started that way. Yeah, my first game, it started that way. When I released actually my first game, I was lucky because I started during the time when Apple just launched the App Store. I was one of the developers who put out content for their new iPhone, and then it was featured by Apple on iTunes. So I got really a surge of audience from that, and then my succeeding games, I just market it to my existing players. Whenever I have a new game, I push a message on my other games, basically via cross promotion, and tell them that, hey, I have a new game. You might want to try this out. Then eventually grew that to 1 million, and then several million players.
I think we're running out of time, so thank you.
Okay,
If you
thank
have any
you.
more questions, just
Thank you, guys.
take care. Thank you. Eric.